All right, welcome to the UCW radio show. And as you know, we've been doing this for quite some time. We have some awesome guests that come on air, motivational, inspirational, some amazing human beings, and today is no different. This is part two of the guest that we're bringing on. To me, he's one of the most talented artists that you can find anywhere from coast to coast, continent to continent. He's done some amazing work, and he's got the credentials, and he has such a story that goes along with it. So, with that in mind, please join me in welcoming Borbay to the show. How you
Thank you
doing,
very
brother?
much for having me. Honored to be back here.
Yeah, well, it's been a while. The last time we had you on the show, was back in New York, and yeah, now your life has changed a lot. Let's let the give the viewers and the listeners just a little snapshot on yourself again. So just give them a little refresher course, and then we're going to go into everything that you have going on. Because as you see, there's you, and I have your work over here. We're hip hopping over here. So, uh,
Oh man.
so let's do that. Let's give an outline.
Okay. Jason Borbay. I paint under the name Borbay, Borbay. The last time we spoke, I was taking the call, walking along the East River of Manhattan. Since my family has relocated to Teton Valley, Idaho, we live in a town called Victor. The last census, we had 2,088 people, one traffic light. We're 40 minutes away from Jackson Hole and a mountain pass away. Incidentally, we're expecting 2 to 3 feet of snow in the next 48 hours, so that's going to be
Of course,
fun.
that's fun.
And I'm a father of three. We have a 3, 5, and 7-year-old married to an amazing woman named Erin Borbay. She's an acupuncturist. She has a practice here in Victor and treats people at Amagani and Shooting Star over in Jackson. I'm a full-time professional artist, self-represented, been painting full-time since July 2nd of 2009. When we moved out here, it was just for a total change of pace in life. And it was 2016 we moved out here. And it's been incredible. A lot of amazing experiences. I was artist in residence 4 seasons, Jackson Hole. I won a couple awards, had a bunch of art shows, and I continue to just paint work that I want to paint, and then work that I'm commissioned to paint. And it's an amazing life out here. I play a lot of golf. I'm terrible, but I love it, and play a lot of ice hockey in the winter. When we don't have a global pandemic crushing down on the ability
Just
to.
don't break your leg again. All right, we can't have that.
Yeah, that's a good memory. Yeah, breaking your leg is. I actually did my first play last year. We did the local production of A Christmas Carol, and I was Fred, who was Scrooge's nephew. And once you break your leg, when people tell you to break a leg, it loses its charm.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to have those flashbacks.
Oh no, yeah, it's very not pleasant to break your leg, so I
Yeah,
don't recommend.
yeah, no question, no question. Look, Jason, we go back a ways. We're both in New York, and I always said from day one that your artwork is so unique in nature. I mean, when I saw the video, and I wish that we can't do it now, but in a little, not at future shows, we'll be able to show the YouTube video of the work you do because you do it in rapid motion. But it's just amazing how you do it. I've seen all types of artwork. Okay, you go to the Met, you see a whole bunch of different things. You go to the MoMA, you see a whole bunch of different things. Your work is very unique, and you've been commissioned by some top line people, and you're humble. You don't even want to talk about this stuff, but I need to, because I want people to know who you are and what you've done. Because I mean, as I said, in the world of art, you're one of the good guys. And I say that from the bottom of my heart because I know. And Erin,
Thank you.
Erin is your rock. I know that too.
Oh yeah, she. I married well above my station. I'm aware of that. So.
Yeah. Hey, I knew that when we were having that drink, and she came in with the, I think it was your firstborn. She was strolling around.
That's right. And where were we? We were at I think Graydon Carter's place over in Flatiron. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
that
well,
was
yeah,
good.
we're the Flatiron District. Yeah, yeah, because you
Yeah,
grew up
had
over
a couple of scotch on the rocks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you know that, and we have to relive that when I go visit you in Idaho.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's a beautiful country out here. It's God's country.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a big change up from New York City, the hustle and bustle, and I'm sure that in Idaho you have. I would think that your artwork is just, I don't know. You're able to take bring a lot more out of you, for the work that you're doing.
Well, it's a whole different place. I mean, one of the things that we love about being in this community is that Aaron and I both gotten very involved. So I'm on the Urban Renewal Agency board of a committee called the Victor City Placemakers, and so one of the things that we did was we have this concert series called Music on Main, and it's run by the Teton Valley Foundation, which Aaron is now the vice chair of the board for that. It's like you move out here, you have enough boards, you could build a treehouse. And so the foundation has the concert series. They have a 264 square foot stage in downtown Victor. So I ended up working with those committees and painted a giant mural that says Victor, Idaho in neon letters. So, literally put my stamp on the town, which was cool. And then here, because I have a weird experience background, having, done stand-up comedy and reality TV, I've now gotten involved with pretty much everything. So I'm the auctioneer for charity events.
Of course
And
you are.
I literally moderated the political debates, for the sheriff and, district attorney and city council people. And, I show up and my hair is all spiked up and they're like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
But I just kind of say yes. I mean, I officiated a wedding and I just kind of do whatever is out there because I love to do stuff and be around people. And, especially now, it's like, we spent 3-4 months cooped up. It's really good to, see like, people.
Yeah, to be around people. Right now we're doing this virtually, but we see each other, right? We haven't seen each other in person for a long, long time, and we're going to
Right.
change that soon enough. And
Exactly.
and then the activity that you have, going there, you get it. See, a lot of people don't know that you're in comedy. A lot of people don't know that you're on reality TV. A lot of people don't know this stuff because you really don't talk about it.
Right.
But it's just interesting because Joe Rogan's not the only comedian that's making things happen. Let's just say that. Okay.
I will say that I am definitely not making that Joe Rogan money quite yet, but I
No, we
aspire
gotta get
to that.
Spotify. We gotta get Spotify on the phone. I think we need to do
Exactly.
something. I think so. But you look, you're doing your thing, and I think one of the greatest pieces of art that you and your wife have created are your kids and your family, your environment. Okay, and
Got
I
that right.
that's a core thing, and I want to talk about that a little bit if we can, because
Please.
relationships, they're tough, but you guys, you've been through your ups and downs, and look at you now, and you're still stronger than ever. So I want to talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. When Aaron and I met, it was just I didn't know where it was going to go. I just knew I didn't want to take any chances, so I was
Mhm.
very kind of focused on seeing what happened. And I always had a vision for myself. I was going to be, a 40-year-old millionaire retiring from advertising and become a full-time artist and travel around the world. And then I met Erin, and Erin, she wanted to get married, she wanted to have kids, and I was like, you know what? Like, I love you. We were meant to be. Like, yes, let's get married, let's have kids. But I was like, baby, you're gonna drag my cold dead corpse out of Manhattan. And so you can imagine her surprise one day when I'm like, hey, let's move to Idaho, and
Out of all
okay.
places, right?
And so we have 3 kids. Our first 2 kids, Coraline and Vega, were both home births and born in our apartment in New York City.
Mhm.
And then when we moved out here, we quickly got pregnant. Then we had our son Esther, and so he was also born in our house. And yeah, it's amazing. These kids, they're incredible. They're so much fun to be around. Great energy. Just it's super inspiring to see them grow up. Their creativity is off the charts, and I find that they're inspiring me so much. I feel like so much more than I'm inspiring them. And the only thing that I think that Aaron and I really teach them is just it's work ethic and this desire to create something for yourself because we're both entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
And so the kids, they don't just sit down and do an art project for 20 minutes. They see daddy in the studio for 7 hours, and so they can sit and plow through and crank through projects. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, and kids, they see things so simply, so clear, and
Mhm.
it's not cluttered with all the nonsense. It's either black or white. There's no gray there, and and
Right.
and and, and having that and being able to live through them like that helps you to have a different vision on your world. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And also, I mean, here we are with three young kids, and then we find ourselves in the middle of a global pandemic. And I've
Yeah.
checked every parenting book I could find. There's no chapter on how to guide your children through a pandemic. So, it's something that we're figuring out, and parents all across the world. And our kids are in second grade and kindergarten, and they're doing virtual schooling. And our school district here has done an incredible job.
Hmm.
Everybody is set up with a Chromebook, and they have a curriculum, and they
Oh,
have a
nice.
meeting schedule, and take home assignments. And it's amazing what they're doing. And it's incredible to see that these kids are going through this unbelievable thing.
Hmm.
Unfortunately for me, I work from home, so it gives us a lot of latitude, but I have so much empathy for these families out there. And if both parents work away from the house,
It's
or
tough.
if it's a single parent and then they have to work on homeschooling, I mean, this is just a remarkable time in human history.
Yeah, and it's a pivotal change in general because we people need to understand that we're not going back to a normal. There's no more normal. It's just a new
No.
reality and the new world we're living in. Because think about it. Okay, businesses, they're utilizing virtual tools to keep people connected. They began to understand their margins can be higher if they have people just working remotely. So and they can make it work. So
Right.
it helps them to function. It gives in a lot of cases you have a better quality of life if you have young kids and everything. Now if you're by yourself, I think you're gonna have to well, you're gonna go cuckoo, because you're by yourself, and you'll be like Tom Hanks in the basement with the flickering light type of deal, and that's
Well,
not good. Yeah, so that wouldn't be good, But to be able to move with that with this change, especially with kids, is tough. They don't your kids don't know anything else really, so it's probably a little easier for them. But you remember jumping, swinging from trees, doing whatever, and playing with your friends. They don't have that now at this moment.
it's remarkable. Just looking at, and we're like, hey kids, we're gonna go to the grocery store. Everybody put on your masks. And I think about how I would have reacted to that when I was a kid, and just I can't even fathom. And as it is already, I mean, with technology, I mean, you look at like what Bill Gates and Steve Jobs said. They're like, my kids aren't getting tablets, my kids aren't getting iPhones.
Hmm.
And it's like it's turning people crazy. But then here we are with more time to spend with our families than ever, and yet simultaneously a greater influx of the influence of technology. So it's a very strange time. So we've been doing our best, I think for the generation that's so used to having these phones in their pockets, I try so hard not to just constantly be like this, because I want to be there for my family and be present. But
Sure.
we're at a time now where it's like we're spending more time together, but we need to get away from all this technology. But the circumstance of the world is requiring more technology.
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah, it's a strange time. I do believe that sometimes you got to turn it off. It's hard for me because technology is part of my life. It is my life. This is
Hey
what I
man, that's
do.
your game.
Yeah, it's like crazy, but sometimes you have to turn it off in order to reboot, and have that quality time. Because I feel, look, if you have kids, it's a lot more fun to either do a puzzle together or play a game, a real game, not a digital game, not a video game, a real game,
Right.
and connect like that. It's a lot more fun, and these are things that they remember when they get older. And
Oh, and my kids are young and they already have elephant like memories. It's unbelievable the
yeah.
stuff they remember. I'm like, I don't remember anything before I was 5, and these guys are like, remember when I was 2? And I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
and
They
that's a
got a
little
whole
bit
memory.
scary too. You're like, oh damn! I hope they don't remember what happened here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Whatever that may be.
Daddy
So
got the Irish flu the day after St. Patrick's Day on like clockwork.
yeah, So but yeah, so now with the way the kids are, I mean, it's again, it's something different than we know, and we're learning too. We're learning too. You're learning more than I am,
Right.
and your wife, she's just getting back to work, I'm sure, because she hasn't been able to treat her patients for a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, so when we moved out to New York, away from New York, Erin had shut down her practice. And then, when we found out we were pregnant with our third child, so Erin just kind of took on the responsibility of really focusing on the household and the children. But she's an incredibly intelligent woman. She's really good at what she does. And so she was ready to get back to work. So she went and she's built a very successful practice here, which is incredible. And it's a great fit for our community. And we, like we said, I mean, our security system is literally our neighbors. Like everybody in this town, you see one thing wrong, it's like that chain effect. Like you're covered. It's amazing. And now she's doing it. But of course, when the pandemic struck, she had to shut her practice down for a little bit. Now, I mean, I think for acupuncture, and certainly she shares an office space with a general practitioner who's like, yeah, absolutely, you're essential. We were just very nervous. We didn't know what was going on, so we just said, you know what? Let's shut everything down. I'm working from home. Let's just keep it going. And then, but now if there's a second shutdown, she's going to keep going because, she has a lot of safety protocol in place and
Yeah.
really helping people. I mean, she's a service that people need. And, and our hope is, I skipped my ice hockey game last night. I didn't want to, but there's just been so many cases popping up all over Jackson Hole and in our community too. It's sort of better safe than sorry. And you know what, dude, I'm 40. And I love beer league sports, but I'm not going to jeopardize my family for it.
No, of course not. You got little kids. You're not gonna get sick. Now, I'm looking at you. I'm looking behind you. I'm looking at Christian Bale. Okay, and we talked about your work earlier, and I really want to get into that because what you do is so different. Is so different, and I've seen it. Let's talk a little bit about the work that you do because
Sure.
I want people, yeah, because they see the videos, but you make that time lapse, like, and within a minute, everything's done. But it takes a lot more than a minute to do the stuff you do.
Right. Well, and that's the kind of like gratifying yet like sort of mystifying experience when you do a time lapse. So you spend like a month, maybe 2 months on a painting, and then you reduce it down to 45 seconds or a minute
Hmm.
in time lapse. And it's cool because it shows the way that the painting came together, and it's great. But it's also like a lot more work went into that. But so primarily I work on. I have three kind of main focus areas. One is my collage painting portraits. So the one. Whoop, there we go. Whoop. I'm trying to line up there we
That
go.
away.
That's actually the dude. So that's Jeff Bridges from the
Oh,
the big
I thought it was Christian Bale. Look at me.
No, but you know what? I had already done a portrait of Christian Bale we discussed before, so I completely understand.
Ah, no, I knew that though, because you did Michael Jackson. You did a lot. I mean, look, as I said, back behind me, you have
Yep.
hip hop central right here. You've done you've
Yeah.
done you've done a lot of this work, and a lot of this stuff has been commissioned, and a lot
Right.
of this
A
stuff
lot.
has been sold. You're
Right.
in demand. You know.
Well, yeah. Fortunately, that's that's the case, which I'm very grateful for. And
Yeah.
actually, two of my hip hop paintings are now in the Universal Hip Hop Museum collection. So
Oh
they have
wow,
a temporary
nice.
space, and they're going to be opening like a gigantic museum in the Bronx. And I think they're scheduled for 2022, but you never know. Of course, timelines are subject to change with
Yeah, the
what it
pandemic
is.
and everything. Yeah, but
So
so
yeah, so I do that. So the collage painting portraits, the ethos there is that what I want to do is tell a person's life story through images and words. So in the face, it's all headlines, and then in the body is images. And so basically, it's like I'll interview the subject, find out what makes them tick, and then curate everything specific to whoever I'm painting. So it's like an anthropological study. So if you saw one of these portraits in 200 years and like let's say that we were the lost city of Atlantis, you'd be able to be like, okay, so this is kind of who this person was, what they were about. There's also some stuff that's inside and you would never know anyway, but I think that's part of the charm
mhm.
and let people speculate. So I like to think of, when I'm doing a portrait, that I could write a very capable paper on whoever I'm painting. So that's one. Two is my neon. So especially when I moved out west, and I'm a big Vegas fan, and in New York City, there's neons everywhere. So I just love painting neon signs. So the one behind me is the Western Motel,
Right.
and that's a work in progress. That's a very famous old sign in Sarah, Oklahoma, along Route 66. And it's just one of those things that is considered a gateway to the West. And
Mhm.
I couldn't find any photos of it lit. So fortunately, my friend put me in touch with a neon expert, and I'm learning what those colors might be. So this will be the only living picture of that sign lit up because we can't find anyone anywhere.
Oh.
We've checked libraries, checked everything. So I love neon signs. I love the story of neon. It just fascinates me, and I love to paint the contrast. And then my other major series is my Guggenheim series. So I'm doing a Guggenheim every year for 20 years.
Mhm.
I'm coming up on year 13. Back over my shoulder there, the kind of dark blue one, that is the Guggenheim in front of the Tetons. And actually, I tilt it up, and it has the eclipse in there too. So I painted the eclipse live at Peace, which is a restaurant in Jackson Hole Mountain Resort,
Right.
while I was the artist in residence 4 seasons. So when the eclipse happened, I had a piece of paper and a pen and my goofy glasses, and I sketched it out and painted it there. And then, obviously later when all the professional photos came out, I was really happy because it looked like I nailed it, because it's kind of almost like an arrowhead form
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
eclipse. So that was cool. And so yeah, so the Guggenheim is one of the marquee series, and certainly my collage painting portraits, and my neons. And I believe that it's important for artists, and I think this is for anybody in any line of business, to constantly push yourself and challenge yourself. Don't just be really good at painting one thing. Try to figure out what you can learn through painting other things and experimentation. It's not in my studio, but it's in my house. Is my most recent Guggenheim, which I call the Pandemic Guggenheim.
Hmm.
I painted it in a single session with my left hand, mostly with a palette knife. So completely different. And but certainly your kids will teach you. You got to keep experimenting. You got to keep pushing
Yeah.
yourself, because I think it's so easy to fall into what you're successful at, then you kind of stunt your own creative and emotional growth.
With your Guggenheim series, are you keeping that, or is that something that you're going to put on display, or is that something that you're going to sell at some point? What are you doing with that?
So more than half of the collection has already sold.
Hmm.
And it's weird because I'm doing one every year. So it's like I'll go through periods where I'll have more Guggenheims on the wall, and then you sell a couple, and then there's like barely any Guggenheim.
Hmm.
The objective would be to show the entire series together. I think it would be hilarious if it was at the Whitney, because that would just
Sure.
be ironic.
That would be.
It's certainly anywhere. The only painting that I've lost track of is the first one I sold. I sold to a collector in Italy, and I actually hand delivered it and spent time in Milan, which was amazing. But we've lost touch, and I'm trying to kind of make sure that I can get back in touch with them, because I don't want to have a lost Guggenheim, especially the first one in the series. But a little bit of intrigue goes a long way. I had a painting of Elaine's, which was a famous place on the Upper East Side, and
Right.
it was in Elaine's. And the last night that they had a party there before they closed down, someone stole it, and I don't know where it is. So, there's a couple of absconded paintings in
You
the
got
bin, but it's
stolen.
good.
That you know what? That's hey, that could be a big thing. All of a sudden,
Exactly.
20 years, 30 years, they'll come out. They'll command 20 million for it. It could happen.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, and you just never know, and you see this all the time. Like paintings will be stolen or pillaged or whatever, and then it'll pop up 20 years later or
Yeah.
100 years later, and it'll go back to the family and stuff. So who knows? I mean, it's in one hand, it's nice to have something that is interesting enough to steal. On the other hand, probably best if someone like wasn't out there stealing artwork.
Yeah, we don't want any thievery going on. But the point is that your work is a true collectible. Okay, one of a kinds. Nothing is duplicated. You may have prints, maybe there are prints out there, but as far as getting the original artwork, there's one. There's nothing that's coming out that's going to be that one.
Exactly.
You did the Michael Jackson one. That came from the I guess the foundation or something. They wanted that.
So the Michael Jackson one was actually I did for Zach O'Malley Greenberg's book cover, Michael Jackson Inc. So that was through
Right.
Simon and Schuster. And then, but I did do a painting of Serena Williams, and that was auctioned off through the Serena Williams Foundation in South Beach.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. See, that's the thing with the work that you do, because we see a couple things in your wall, but
Yeah,
I wish that again, we can't do it now on Vero High, but we will be able to do a scrolling picture so I can show people.
fabulous.
And next time I bring you on, we're going to do that, because I really want to show this stuff off, because the work you've done with Heath Ledger, you've done work with Mad Men. What's his face?
John Hamm.
John Hamm, there you go. And then you've done, I mean, just one thing after another. I did you do Biggie Smalls and Tupac? I think you did,
So,
right?
ironically enough, two of the most prolific and unbelievable hip hop artists ever. I actually didn't do them in the series, and it was solely because I was doing artists that at the time I did the series in 2011 that were living and that were entrepreneurial, involved with social media, and about to release an album. So based on that criteria alone is how I chose the 7 subjects. And
Mhm.
then the whole Forbes tie-in came in when I saw that, I called the series the Cash Kings of Hip Hop.
Right.
And I saw Zach O'Malley Greenberg, whose Michael Jackson book cover I later did, had released the Cash Kings of Hip Hop. And I predicted 1 through 5, and the last 2 guys tied for sixth or something
Mhm.
based on my criteria. Presented the series to him, and that's how we got connected. And you know what? Hold on, this is bothering me.
Yeah.
This makes it the it makes it look like I weigh like 150 pounds over what I should.
No,
So
well,
I'm just
well,
that
yeah,
angle.
see that chair's like that. You know why? Because when you kick back and you're looking at your artwork, and then what happens? You have 3, 4, 5, 10 kids jumping on your lap. That's where that comes from.
Well, that's very true because I definitely had a gaggle of kids in here this morning, and I love it. I mean, my walls are covered with my artwork I collect, and my kids' artwork. It's fabulous.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, that's the quality of life, and your kids are experiencing something. As bad as what happened this year is that I see more families spending time together. The fathers walking the kids and hanging out, spending more time with their wives. Blah blah blah. So
So
there's positive things that are coming out of it, in a negative environment. So you have to look at the positive, and there's no question about that.
yeah, I know a lot of people are weird about the whole co-sleep thing, but we've always been kind of cool with it. But especially when this all went down, we were like, oh, no problem. So we have our like California king bed in our bedroom,
Mhm.
and then right next to it on the floor we have a queen mattress, and it's just basically we have like a sleepover every night. It's pretty rad.
Yeah, camp out, man. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that. Get them there, and that's it. They'll prevent more kids. So there you go.
exactly. Therein lies another structural efficiency in this new
Yeah,
system.
too funny, too funny. So you're there. You're enjoying the snow. You're enjoying the change of pace.
Yep.
New York is not. You're not homesick. Okay, which I mean, look, we go through phases in our lives, and has this changed, you moving over there, different quality of life, has it impacted the quality of work that you have?
Well, I mean, anytime you get to change a place and change your energy, I think it's really good. And if you look at a lot of artists over the years, historically, they had different phases, and those phases were ushered in by their location. Picasso has a blue period here. He goes there, he has his rose period. Then he goes here, and he has his kind of abstract, influenced by African mask phase. So
Mhm.
for me, certainly, moving here gave us more space, which was amazing. So I've started to work on larger canvases because, it doesn't really work in New York. And here, you're selling to folks who have, maybe like a giant home for sure, but maybe it's their second or third home. And it's like there's more wall space in New York. You could be talking about the most elite people in the world. They're not going to take a Basquiat off the wall to throw a Borbay on there if it's too big. So
Yeah.
certainly in scale, I just think that every year that I spend painting, it's just it's an incremental improvement. You may have a jump from one painting to the next, but I think that it's just a very slow and steady progression for how you're doing it. But definitely, like just being here, I did a giant painting of an eagle. Like I would never do that before.
Right.
and,
Yeah,
uh, and,
that's
and
out of your element, but it's part of your element now. So
Well, I mean, so we're a member of so we live on a golf course. So it's the Bronze Buffalo Sporting Club at Teton Springs, and so first that got me into golf. I never really golfed more than 6 holes, and I just get hammered and drive around with a golf cart. And so now I play like we only have about 5 months a year you can play here because
right.
it's buried in snow. But I played I think maybe 120 rounds this year. So it's crazy. But this club has been amazing. It's been like our kind of social infrastructure here, and we've met so many of the members. And through the Bronze Buffalo Club, it's nuts. They have all these kind of like famous people. I was playing. It took me 6 holes to realize a club champs. I was playing with this guy James Shields, who's a Major League Baseball player, and
Mhm.
and this guy's absolutely hammering the ball like 350 yards off the tee. I'm like, well, what do you do? He's like, oh, I play baseball. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, Google, I'm like, oh, All-Star.
Oh,
Gotcha.
yeah, gotcha. Yeah, he's doing 350. Maybe you're doing 20. I don't know.
Man, I'll tell you. Let's say I can. If I get a hold of it, I can hit it. But I'm not going to post my stats, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't blame you because I'm in that same boat. You know, I'm not a golf guy. You know, maybe I should be a golf guy now, but when I was younger, a little bit too hard to get my hands together, and just the frustration. Went through like 4 sets of golf clubs. They wound up in a lake. I don't know. All I know is
Hey,
that I haven't done that in a while.
look, you're an athletic guy and you're strong, so I bet you could smack the tar out of it. But the problem with golf is that it's all about putting in your short game, and
Yeah.
it's like, you get off the tee, that's great, but then you start bringing out the irons, forget about it.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is that now they have this. I guess it's a golf thing. It's a tournament type of thing, and people are getting in the Guinness Book of World Records just that one swing.
Long drive.
Yeah, the long drive. It's, you see these guys, these monsters hitting that ball a zillion yards, and but then that's it. There's nothing else.
That's your second calling, man. I mean, you're ripped, you got the guns. You got
Maybe I'll just go like that. I don't know, and get in the Guinness Book of nothing. So
call Bryson DeChambeau. He'll teach you what to do. That guy's been slapping the ball like unbelievable. But anyway, look, I never thought I would be living on a golf course in Idaho, right? I mean, the world just takes you. We're actually one of my collectors. He's this wonderful guy in Belgium. So he's in Antwerp, and he just bought a castle in Brussels. So we were talking to him about going out there and starting an artist residency there, and it's like legit a castle with a moat. It's gorgeous, and we would have kind of like an art studio wing where we would develop artists in residence and a program there. An exhibition area, and then the other wing of the castle would be for businesses. So kind of like almost like a retreat / WeWork type thing, and then have kind of like the crossover between the art and the businesses, which I think is brilliant. And we were pretty much planning to go there this summer and start kind of figuring out how to put this all together. And then of course now, like we can't leave the country. So, and Belgium is shut down there for the second time, and they're getting hammered. So, that's another thing about plans. Like, we love to travel. I love going overseas. I love to just experience different cultures and get that influence creatively. So, I'm hoping that once the world opens up again, and hopefully a year or two now, it's a blip, and it's almost like, remember that. And I'm hoping this doesn't become like a prolonged, decade-long thing, but anything can happen, right?
Anything, you never know. You never know. And you know what Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan till they get punched in the face, and that's what's happening. We get punched in the face, but you gotta, look, we're New Yorkers, so what do? We take it, boom, we shift, we figure it out, and that's what you've done. Okay.
Oh, that's
So the funny thing is, I want the viewers and the listeners to hear this. I
sure.
remember when we were in New York, Flatiron District. We went into the I forget the name of the place we went to. We sat down. You and I had a drink. We were talking about your deal with Forbes and Trump, and then my wrestling days. We were talking about all that, and then.
Right.
Then your wife walked in, Erin walked in. She had the baby carriage, and I'll never forget this because you turned around, and when you looked at her, that it was like that was all that was there in the world. And she looked at you the same way, and it was like, is
Yep.
that connection, which is so special. I never told you that, but I'm observant. I'm observant. I was a little jealous at the time. I was like, this bastard, but you know what? But it's as good to see that. It helps, people that have lost faith and finding that special person that completes their world. Maybe things like this, and this is why I like talking about it, things like this will let them know that, hey, even in a pandemic, you never know. And if you're wearing a mask, she's wearing a mask. She can be ugly, but you know what? She's wearing a mask. What are you gonna do?
Hey, the mask works for me. I'm covering the danger zone, so
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You cover it. You're doing right.
I need to put a mask here and a mask here, and then it looks like I got like a really good full head of hair still.
Well, that's the stress from all the kids, man.
Yeah, dude, that's just life. I mean, the widow's peak was always on its way, and I've just embraced it and just throw up the spikes. Add a couple inches to the height.
No,
but for Erin and I, we're just lucky that we found each other. I mean, we literally were sitting in our kitchen last night and talking about that. Just we've been together since 2007. We got married in 2011. We're still very much in love, and and I'm one of those guys that like when I'm out, I like to have my hand on the small of her back, and I like to push her hair back and hold her hand, and just because we're expressive that way, and it's not we're not I'm 40. I'm not like making out with my woman at a dinner party in front of
But
everybody. I'm
it,
just
but
getting.
it, but it's those little gestures that let her know, hey, we're good. Everything's great. Everything's fantastic. Whatever it is, no matter what you're going through, that you're gonna, you're gonna deal with it. You're together, and that's it. That's
Right.
important.
I've always looked at life, and this is probably the fact that I live in potato country and farm country now. But I've always kind of looked at it as like sort of silos, and so you have like your relationship silo, your work silo, and then you have like your free time silo. And so it's like I've always felt that just with my family, it's full. My life is full there, and I'm not chasing anything, and I get so much back from it. So I'm so much more able to focus on what I want to do in the studio, or
Mhm.
being out on the golf course or playing hockey, and it's just everything feels so balanced and grounded in such an important area. So I felt that I think for me, the strength of my relationship with Aaron and my children is the greatest catalyst for development as an artist, because I have all my time and energy to focus there, and all I get back is this kind of love and good energy from my family. And it's like when you're out there and you're single and you're chasing girls and you're staying out late and doing all this other stuff, it's all well and good. And, that's behind me. And I'm just very grateful that I have that. And I know a lot of people don't. And, I hope if they're looking for it, they find it, because there's a lot of people looking out there. You just got to get them together.
We should do the evolution of Borbay, of how you evolved to Borbay, and how you were with Jason. You had the suits on, you were
Yep.
trumping, doing that stuff, and you were realistic. You were doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you found your calling and you evolved into that. And I think that if you didn't do that, you wouldn't have her with you, because you
Mhm.
probably wouldn't come across her.
Totally. I
Yeah.
believe that everything happens for a reason. And, to your point, like I was just always a person who kind of said yes to opportunity. I mean,
Mhm.
I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts at Boston University. I graduated with a graphic design degree. I worked as a designer at the Beacon Hill Times while I was there. I was going to move to California to become an actor, and I randomly, drunkenly stumbled upon reality show auditions, crashed the audition, got cast on the show, spent 6 months doing that in East Boston, moved to New York. Just decided I was going to do acting, but I didn't have money to take acting classes, so I just started doing stand-up comedy and just kind of did it. And randomly got an interview at the Trump Organization a year into that. Got a job there. Spent 2 years working on the floor with the future president, which of course, I'm glad I left on good terms, because literally you never know what's going to happen, including your former boss becoming the president, which
Yeah, true.
it's like you're like, hey, peace out, everybody, and then they're like, haha, we're gonna get you now.
Yeah.
Um, then I went on to recruiting, and so just placing people full time in full time creative jobs. So agency side, client side, and then I worked as a business director of an ad agency, and split my time between Tribeca and Stockholm. It was a front end design and development company, and working with great clients and stuff. And then, I was in Maui with Erin, who at the time was my girlfriend, obviously is now my wife. And
Mhm.
I was painting and I was on the beach, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to finally pursue my passion. And then July 2nd of '09 became a full-time artist. And all that to say is that you were exactly right. There's no way I could have made a career out of this if I didn't know about market development, contracts, branding,
Yep.
marketing, social media, understanding that you need to hire an accountant. Just hire an accountant. Don't
Yeah.
do it yourself. Seriously.
Yeah,
Especially as
yeah, you
as
don't you don't want to be like that TV show, Schitt's Creek. You don't want to have that issue going on.
great show, by the way. I freaking love. That's an amazing show.
It's funny, funny, funny,
Yeah,
funny.
it's just good stuff. Yeah, I mean, and for Erin, if she didn't choose all the stuff she did in her life, she came down to her parents when she was 15 years old, said, I want to go to Denmark my junior year, and they're like, what? And then she's like, boom, here's the stack of paper. So she spent a year in Denmark, and then when she went to college, she switched colleges and then spent time in China, and Costa Rica, and Peru, and basically just living life the way she wanted to live her life. And she became an acupuncturist. She was in acupuncture college in San Diego and did a summer semester in New York, and that's when we met. So, I mean, you can't make it all up. It just
No.
it fits together so uniquely, but so strangely. If one decision changed along the way, we might not have ever met, or
That
maybe we in another capacity. Who knows?
Yeah, but that was the point that I was making. If you weren't the way you are, and she wasn't the way she is, and you guys continued to evolve, and all of a sudden your worlds collided. If you would have just not gone up that day to do a thing, you would have pivoted to the left, and she would have been over here, and she would have been with some guy Doug, and that would have been a problem, right? So, but
Yeah.
she,
I'm gonna call up my professional wrestling friend to take care of it.
yeah, oh yeah, we got ways, Don't worry. But no, I always said that how your relationship is indicative of how you're living your life and what is trickling down to your kids. Your artwork is, said it earlier, it's some of the most unique that I've come across, and I love art, and but to see certain things and how it's done, and you paint, if you're using oil, acrylic, whatever you're using, you're using a paintbrush, you can create magic. But when you start incorporating other things to it, it's like, oh wow, that's like super creative.
Thank
and
you.
and then that's the stuff that you've done, because I've seen it. You started out with paper, and I've been looking at it. I remember when we first connected, I was looking at it. I said, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, this is pretty different." I said, "What is it? Paper mache?" Then all of a sudden, boom, 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 you do this amazing thing. I said, I said, we got to talk, because this right here was just too. It was too interesting not to talk about it, and I don't think people get you on their shows enough. I don't think that even though you do Forbes and everything else, I don't think they talk about the work. And I believe that your work, as time goes on, is going to be some of the most valuable artwork out there. I see it, and I've seen it. I saw it from day one. And
I do appreciate that. I'll have to fire my publicist. Of course, I'm my publicist, so.
yeah, well, you don't want to fire yourself. Then you got to rehire yourself. Then you got to do the paperwork. Then you got to talk to the accountant again, right? Yeah.
And then we don't want to, and then there could be a wrongful termination suit, and I don't want to deal with that.
Nah, you don't want any issues, and you'll have that Sybil situation going on. No good, no good.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So now, what are you working on now? What are you working on now that you can actually share? Because I know you got projects, you can't talk
Mhm.
about it, so we're not going to even dive into that. We're not going to tease anyone. Let's talk about what you can talk about.
Okay, so the one I pointed out back there, the Western Motel, that's a work in progress. So, I've always had a great fascination with our country and the roads, and I've driven cross country maybe 7 times, and
Hmm.
I've spent a lot of time on Route 66, and I just love the history, and especially the history of the West. One of the catalysts for moving out here to Idaho. I'm working on a 4-portrait series for a family. So I'm doing 4 by 20 collage paintings in black and white of mother, father, son, daughter. So they're all working together in so much that they're going to be very similar compositionally and same palette. And then the collage elements are kind of telling their whole family story through all 4 portraits. So that one is really has been a great project. I'm just about to do a commission of Zabar's,
Hmm.
which is institution on the Upper West Side, as I'm sure you're
Yeah,
aware.
yeah, yeah.
Which I always love doing a little piece in New York and in Idaho because it brings me back. And
Well, New York's a part of you, no matter whether you like it or not, for life.
forever. My son has never set foot in New York, and he's got a New York accent. He's like, "Dad, what's going on over here?" I'm like,
That's funny. That's
"I don't know."
funny. Has
Yeah,
that kid been talking to me? I don't know.
he's been watching your show too much. But yeah, there's it's crazy. Then I'm actually, so I have a really amazing collector in Montreal, and so we're talking about so we're gonna do a commission. It's gonna be a 4 by 5 foot painting of Dr. J, which is really cool because Dr. J is a legend, and not only on the court but off the court. I mean, what he did with the entire basketball league, he was basically their first, the American Basketball League. He was the first he was the catalyst for everything.
Yeah.
He was the star. He was understanding of the business, what's going on. Then, of course, went on to be a megastar in the NBA.
Hmm.
And just his involvement is amazing. So I'm listening to all these kind of audiobooks about it and preparing for it. So that one's going to be really a very cool piece. And
With,
then,
with your work, it's not, you don't just do it. You don't take a picture and copy it. You don't do that. I mean, it takes a lot of research, and it takes for you to get those articles and all that stuff and put it together. It takes a lot of work.
absolutely. And, but that's the thing. It's you can relate. I mean, you're a professional athlete and you're an entrepreneur, and it's like, you want to be a student of the game no matter what you're
Sure.
doing, and you want to do more than you need to, right? Like you
Hmm.
can look at a picture and you can copy it, and that's all well and good. And there's some terrific artists who do that. I just, I love the research. I love to know about my subject. I didn't know half the things about Dr. J, although I do know this. My dad played against him in high school
Hmm.
for a game, and my dad had to try to cover him, which he said was mission impossible. And Dr. J scored, I think, 72 points in the first half and didn't play the second half of the game, which is that's like it's a mercy kill, really. I mean,
He's like,
72.
he's like, I'm done.
Yeah, my dad. Yeah, that was one of those things. I think my dad had like 2 buckets and was pretty stoked about it. I mean,
That's funny.
it's Dr. J, right? I mean, this
Yeah,
guy he's a legend.
sure,
And
sure.
yeah, so I mean, so those are the projects that I'm working on right now. Lining up some commissions for the new year. Obviously, I'm going to be working on my 13th Guggenheim next year, and yeah, I have a painting in progress of the 13th hole or the 12th hole at Augusta, and so now that they're going to do the Masters this week, I think I might whip it out and do a live painting and finish it
Oh,
while the
cool.
Masters is happening, because it's happening in the fall and it's never happened in the fall before. So it might be cool if there's like a little bit of a tonal change in the leaves, and so we'll see.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Tiger Woods may have an interest. You never
Like
know.
a type of y'all.
Yeah, he has enough green jackets. He can have a painting on his wall of something that's not him, right? He doesn't have
I,
pictures.
I think
He doesn't
Tiger,
have the pictures of himself all over the place.
yeah, Tiger Woods. I mean, you talk about a game changer, paradigm shifter. I mean, unbelievable. And you know what? He went through some obvious, like, incredible personal turmoil
Sure.
that played out like in an unbelievable public way. But look at him, man. He came back and he wins again. I mean, total stud. And
Yep.
it's sort of like, it's like we're watching Achilles like play through his Achilles heel, failing him. I mean, he's
Well,
falling apart, and he's still. It's like he might drop out of a tournament, and because his back is gone,
yeah.
and he's done so much. But look at the guy; he still comes out and he's hammering balls, and he's a total stud. It's
The,
unbelievable.
the coolest thing. See, I like Tiger Woods for what he represents. What happened in his personal life is your personal life, but you're a public figure is going to play out in the public forum.
Yes.
Okay, one thing that I really dug about him is that when he was going to play, I think he was going for the Masters, and everyone said, "What are you doing? Retire, quit. You're nothing. You're gone. You're over the hill. You're washed up. Do this." And what does he do? He says, "Yeah, you know what?" He gets in there quietly. Boom, he shuts everybody up, shuts it down systematically with that amazing performance. Probably one of the most amazing performances he's had in his whole career.
You know why? Because that was the hardest one for him to come by. I think your
Sure.
first one is, and you look at how close he is to the record. I think it's Jack Nicklaus's record, and
Hmm.
it's cool. He has something to play for, because I think if he wins like 3 more, major tournaments, he'll be the best of all time. But I mean, whatever. His legacy is cemented. I mean, Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods forever. And
No,
now,
no question.
the game is changing. I mean, like DeChambeau coming out, he's a power hitter. He's like, okay, I'm going to hit onto the other fairway on this hole, over these trees, and people are like, are you kidding? And now that I play a little bit of golf, when you watch golf, I always thought watching golf on TV was insane. Like it was
Yeah,
just like, come on, please. Now
yeah,
I watch it, it's like, whoa! Like the worst guy you see on TV is like just would make you look like such a chump on the course, and
yeah.
they're
You,
just
you
they're
don't know until you get on the course. You're like, I know it's hard. I know it's hard. I don't even pretend to think that it's easy because people say, hey, golfing is not a real sport. Then try it. Try it
oh,
because it's not as easy as
absolutely
you
wrong.
think. The level of frustration, but also your body movements, everything. If you're
Oh
out of
yeah,
shape, you know what? You can't be a chubby going on the golf course and thinking you're going to go against the younger guys out there doing stuff, or even someone that's really good at what they do, and that's the reality of it, and just getting back to you, the work that you've done. Okay, it again, it transcends every piece of work that you do. is different in nature. There's a history with it. That's why I love the art, because it's not just a painting. You look at it. If you look at it, it's like looking at the back of a dollar bill. You can take a magnifying glass. You're looking at different pieces, and you're like, "What's this? What's this?" You have a story with the painting I mean, I can see. I can see the Whitney going and probably putting a little digital button there explaining the painting and piece by piece where everything is. That'd be pretty cool. I hope they're listening to this, because that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, they, I think when you look at the primary drive of a consumer, there's two things. There's a material you can acquire, and then there's an experience. And, whether it's commission or not, in so much that I share the process online and then I detail it upon completion, you get the experience and the material. So, when we're doing a commission, it's like, I'm part of your life for 1 to 2 months, and we're dialoguing constantly. And if I'm working with someone overseas, I'll shoot videos of progress updates, and we'll FaceTime. And if someone lives close by, they just stop by the studio, which is always a lot of fun. And it's great because when people look at something on your wall, if they're in your studio and they're looking at 2 paintings, they're going to be like, okay, tell me about this one, tell me about that one. They're going to buy the story that they like the most.
Sure.
And once you get to a certain point of your career, it's like, someone's not buying a portrait of the dude, they're buying a Borbay. And when someone walks into their house, like, that's a Borbay. And to your point, I don't really do reproductions. I've painted it on very small scale for someone who say, commissioned something, special, and wanted to give like 8 prints to very close friends. That's fine. But, first and foremost, there's a lot of unbelievably successful artists who do involve themselves in retail. I don't want to be a retailer. I want the impressions of my work to be so limited that when you see it on the wall, you're like, okay, legit, like, that's a Borbay. Because not only do I have to protect my brand, I have to protect my market. And the people who invest a good amount of money in my paintings, I want them to know that not only can they expect there's going to be an updated appraisal letter every 2 years with appreciated value, but that I'm not putting 150 Borbays on the wall every year. I do maybe 12 paintings a year. I sell about the same amount, and my income is directly proportionate to the prices that I'm selling at, and
Right.
that's it. Because the last thing you want to do is spend 15, 20, 30 grand on a painting and find out a year later the guy couldn't hack it and ends up becoming paralegal. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, I get it. See, that's why if you do a commission painting, or you do something, a project that you're working on, again, it can't be reproduced. And I need to explain that to people. It can't be reproduced. It's just all the articles and everything that are in there. When you're doing it, you're just
mhm,
doing it. You don't know this is going to go here. It just kind of comes together, and you can't reproduce something like that. You can create a print, but you can't reproduce it. And again, the evolution of you, to me, is amazing. Even like with the evolution of this country, what's happening now, things are changing.
yep,
You mentioned women playing golf. Okay, now you have the first female woman of color is the VP of the United States. It's interesting. And I think stuff like that for your kids that are 2, 5, well, not 2, but 5, 10, even teenagers
yep,
seeing this, they know that anything is possible.
mhm.
Anything's
I,
impossible.
I
Anything's
mean,
possible.
listen, I think as a parent, I had a different vision of how I would be as a parent. I thought I'd be like, okay, you're going to be amazing at this and we're going to just work like crazy. Like, it's just about give your kids as much opportunity to explore and experiment with a wide variety of things, subjects, and, whatever they enjoy doing, see what they gravitate toward, and then just help kind of facilitate their growth in that area. And, for me, as long as if you have work ethic and you have desire, it's those trump talent, because there are scores of artists that are more talented than I am. Absolutely. But if you look at what's going to happen over the years, is that I'm going to keep getting incrementally better at my craft because I'm good at marketing, positioning, selling my
Hmm.
work to facilitate the creation of more work. So I'm affording myself an opportunity through business to continue to be creative.
Hmm.
And a lot of creatives don't have that opportunity, which is sad. And honestly, sometimes you can't even help them. Like, I have some
Right.
of artists that I collect. I've offered them like, hey, I will help you develop a series, market it, and sell. It's overwhelming and it's too much work. And so I get that, but I want my kids to know that, like, okay, if you want to be a dancer, I can tell you right off the bat, you're not the best dancer in the world, not because you're not talented, but because there are unbelievable amounts of talent out there.
Hmm.
But if you work at it and you have desire and passion and you're willing to sacrifice to get better, then eventually you could be one of the best, if not the best in the world at anything you want, because that's the way the world works.
Yeah. And that's true, and that's a good lesson that you're teaching your kids, because yeah, you may think that you're the best at something, but really, if you think that, then it's over. You
Oh,
know, it's
there's
over.
always someone better.
It's always
Like,
someone better, always. And anything you do, and what you do, what I do, it doesn't matter. There's always someone better, but your personality and everything go into what you do, and that is the game changer.
mhm,
That's a game changer. And to me, that when you have kids that are doing something, they may not be the best. Like, your daughter may not be the best ballerina, but you know what? She applies herself. Her personality goes into it. Guess what?
right,
She's an original,
exactly.
and that makes it
Exactly.
even better. That makes it even better.
Exactly. And and that's the thing too. I obviously I'm very fond of art and I'm fond of hockey and I'm fond of running and I'm fond of golf now. But look, whatever my kids want to do, I mean, I actually hope they pick something super random so I could just learn about something completely different. Maybe they'll become yodeling champions. I don't know.
Well,
It's
if it
just kind
forces
of.
you to learn, they're gonna say, "Daddy, can you help me with this?" Yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
Well, exactly, and that's the same. And I was very fortunate. My parents were amazing, and I was the first person in my family who became obsessed with hockey at a young age. And
Mhm.
sure enough, like my dad and mom are both now very, very astute in hockey because that was my passion. And
Right.
I came from a running family. I went into running. If my kids want to be runners, great, and if they don't, that's great too. Like just be like all we want to do. And I think that the onus on parents today is it's very simple, just create good people, put good people in the world. That's it. It doesn't matter what their personality is, what their sexual preference is. It doesn't matter. Just
Nope.
make good people. That's it.
That's it. And that I'm glad you said that, because at the end of the day, creed, color, whatever it is, your sexual orientation, none of this stuff matters. To me, look, I've traveled all over the world. I've been around all different types of people, and I realized something after doing that for some time. There are only two types of people: good people and bad people. And the good people aren't always that good, and the bad people aren't always that bad. So you have
I
people.
agree.
You have people, and you just move forward. So you're doing a great job with your kids, and I'm proud of you, man. And I'm
Thanks, man.
happy that you're happy. I see it in your face, and that makes me happy. I wish Erin was here to pop in and tell her story, but we'll catch her another time when she's not poking people with needles. We'll
That,
bring her on.
that's exactly right. Yeah, she's a wonderful woman. I think you guys would have a great chat. I'd be happy to set that up. And
I think we
yeah,
need to. I think we need to, because she has stuff to tell me. She has stuff to tell me, and we got to share this with the world. All right. So now I don't want to keep you any longer on the show, but let's in closing. Is there any, if you had to? Well, first, is there anything that you want to speak about before we go into my last question?
no, no. I mean, like as always, I just enjoy spending time with you and chatting. It just feels very natural, and it's like we've only hung out a couple times, and it feels
Yeah.
like we've known each other for a whole lot. So yeah, no, I mean, ask away, and I feel like this has just been
But
great.
I feel the same way, man. You know how we do things. But my question, it's not even a question. Well, it's kind of a question, but if you had to give, you know, advice to anyone,
Hmm.
whether it be art or something else, just from your life experiences, if you had to give someone advice, life advice,
Hmm.
if you had to pick one thing that would trump everything,
Hmm.
what would that piece of advice be?
I mean, for me, that's a very simple piece of advice to give: is find a mentor. I My mentor Robert has literally, I mean, people have life experience out there and people love to share life experience. So whatever you're passionate about, find someone in that area or someone that's just passionate about what you do, and find a mentor and let them guide you. When you're going to make a decision, run it by someone who has life experience. It could save you so many problems. And having been the beneficiary of an amazing mentor, I do everything in my power to provide mentorship to creatives because if I can help someone avoid 2 or 3 mistakes along the way and accelerate their pace, huge. And there are people out there. You can't just be like, "Hey, you're my mentor." It's almost it's like a relationship, and
Sure, it is.
you don't like say one day you're my mentor. You just kind of like it progressively happens. But ask questions, find people who are willing to share their experience, time with you, be grateful for it, thank them for it, but get a mentor, baby. That's it.
And the thing is, when you're just to tag on to that, when you're when you're looking for a mentor, you don't go to someone and say, "Hey, you want to be my mentor?" It's something that evolves, and
Yes,
the words don't even come out. It's just there.
exactly.
It's just
Yeah,
there.
precisely.
Yeah,
It's like you meet for coffee 10 times, and then you're dating. It's like the same thing with
yeah.
mentorship. It happens, but I believe that mentorship and apprenticeship are just the most important thing because like I'm not going to make a business decision for my art career without reaching out to my mentor and reading books about other artists because people have been through what you've been through before. Just make the most educated decision with outside advice, and sometimes it's contrary to what you think, and maybe once in a while it doesn't work out, but I'm telling you, for me, probably I would say 97 out of 100 pieces of advice that I've gotten from mentorship have been right on the money. And for the 3 times it's not, it's worth it.
The thing is that it's funny how kids, they don't want to listen to their parents, but if they did, they would have a lot less pain in their lives because
Absolutely.
you've been through some stuff. So mentorship, find the mentor people, find it if you're in art, business, whatever, athletics, whatever it is, find someone you can look up to, and they can be that guiding light so you can avoid those issues, those the falling on your face, because that kind of hurts. You fall down, and it's a whole big thing. But you got to get back up anyway. So, all right, Jason. Why don't you let people know how they can reach you? I know, but they need to know.
Totally. Well, for me, probably the best thing is just my website. It's just borbay.com. It's borbay.com. My email is just jason@borbay.com. I love to be in touch. I'm on, Instagram and Twitter and all that. And I'm trying to move away from social media because it just takes up so
Yeah,
much time. And but yeah, please reach out. I love to share my work and my process, and and also as we've discussed, I'm a businessman and an artist, so I love talking about the business behind my work and my market, and my pricing, and where that's going and what that means because that's all. It's all Andy Warhol said it best. Good business is the best art. So
that's it.
I'm happy to talk about it anytime.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say this, and then closing with the show. If you are an art collector, collect a Borbay. Trust me, you're going to thank me, and you're going to thank him. Okay, the artwork is, I mean, on a level of 1 to 10, he's over the 10 or 11. It's up there. He's not at Picasso level, but he's his own Picasso. It's a lot
You
different. Yeah, it's a lot different. It's something that you're going to enjoy, and your friends, your family, everything, they'll enjoy it. And it'll increase in value. I'm saying that. You don't need to say it. I'm saying it because I know. All right.
are.
And just make sure to go to borbay.com, check them out. And I want to, stay with me, Jason. I want to thank
Yes.
everyone for tuning in, listening, and viewing the show. And we're going to have
Thank you.
Jason on again, Borbay on again. We're going to bring Aaron on. We're going to have a duet. We're gonna have a duet type of deal because that's always interesting. All right, but
Absolutely.
again, thank you for tuning in, and we're gonna be back with you with another episode with another great guest on the UCW radio show. Thank you.